What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about true Canadian stories that sound unbelievable. I feel like this sounds like the introduction to an episode of Ripley's Believe It or Not or something like unbelievable. Believe it, if you've ever seen that. But that's what we're gonna have to do today. Believe it, because that is the topic of the video. So I found this very fun discussion on Reddit where someone was asking Canadians to answer this question: what is the funniest or most bizarre Canadian story that really happened? True stories that could be a news story. It could be from history, a famous Canadian who did something, just stuff that is wild, unbelievable, crazy, bizarre, maybe funny stories by Canadians. So that sounded really entertaining to me. So let's take a look at some of the answers here. Top voted here, Leo Major. I've never heard of Leo Major before. Is this a famous Canadian? Oh, here we go. Leo Major is the answer. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Guy single-handedly clears a Dutch city of German soldiers because they killed his friend? Is this true? I'm gonna look this up without a doubt. Is this true? I mean, this is not disappointing. The video is Canadian stories that are unbelievable, right? And I almost don't believe this, but it's the top voted answer. Leo Major. How did he single-handedly, as in alone, cleared a Dutch city of German soldiers, like some kind of Canadian superhero, to get justice for his friend who died? This should be the plot of a movie. Maybe it is. What do I know? And this is after he single-handedly rounded up 93 German soldiers and marched them out of another town. Who is this guy? Leo Major. That's who. Let me Google this. What on earth? There he is! Leo Major. What? There's videos about him? There's his picture? The one-eyed scout, and he has one eye? Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? One-eyed scout who liberated a whole town. What? Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I'm gonna keep using that word unintentionally. Leo Major was a Canadian soldier and the only Canadian and one of only 3 soldiers in the British Commonwealth to receive the Conduct Medal twice in separate wars. Oh my gosh, 1945, in World War II. This mission they're talking about. Man, he had one eye in this picture. This deserves its own video. I'm just gonna leave it at this. Leo Major is a true Canadian hero, by the sound of it. That sounds unbelievable, so I'm glad I found it in this video. I feel like he deserves his own video. Oh my gosh. Okay. How are you gonna top that one? Oh my gosh. Leo Major. That's really cool. That's like a Canadian folk hero. Although folk hero makes it sound like it's made up or something. Legend. Or it just sounds like some kind of Canadian badass who decided, hey, you killed my friend, I'm gonna take your town and drag 93 soldiers with me. Okay. Fair enough. Dang. What else do we have? The maple syrup reserve heist. Oh my gosh. I think this was the subject of a video I did so long ago. Man, this is bringing back memories. The maple syrup reserve heist. This is a thing. People have made videos about this as well. Me included. The Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist was a theft of almost 3,000 tons of maple syrup. I had forgotten how much. Storage facility in Quebec. The theft occurred over several months. Wow, it did? I didn't even remember that. The maple syrup was worth 18 million bucks at the time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember a bit of this. This was unbelievable. Oh my god. That's funny. I was just thinking this when I read the topic. Seriously, just the name of it, frankly, the Maple Syrup Reserve Heist, sounds made up. Sounds unbelievable, but it happened, and it's kind of cool. It's not cool that people broke the law and stole syrup, but putting that aside for a second, not like, getting harping on the details that crime was committed, all that boring stuff. It's a fascinating story. It really is. Okay, we also have the Gimli Glider. The Gimli Glider, yet another Canadian superhero. I'm guessing that really existed. I'm surprised no one has mentioned this yet. Okay. Due to some technical failures and an incorrect conversation, Air Canada Flight 143 took off from Montreal with half the fuel that was needed for the flight. Halfway through the flight, at 41,000 feet, 69 people on board, they ran out of fuel. Terrifying. I mean, I always hoped, can't airplanes run out of fuel in the middle of the sky and kind of glide out on even if they have no fuel? Or is that just like a pipe dream I have in my head? I feel like they can fly like a bird and glide to the land, I hope. Or maybe that's what's going to happen here, actually. The engines stopped working and stopped generating electricity. Luckily, the pilot was an experienced passenger jet pilot and a glider pilot. A glider pilot. That's it. This situation calls for a glider pilot. This is like landing a glider. And one of the other crew members knew of the existence of a Air Force base. The crew was able to glide the jet for a landing at a closed runway, only to find it was hosting a drag racing event, and the attendees were unaware of the approach of the jet. They're trying to land a jet on this closed airstrip, and there happens to be a drag race, and no one knows what's happening. And this is a good story. Despite the potential for carnage and death, the crew was able to land the aircraft safely with no fatalities. Wow. Wow, not even the aircraft was killed or destroyed. The Gimli glider was repaired and continued to fly until 2008. Wow! That is an awesome story. That'd be terrifying if you were part of that, but it's awesome to learn about. And awesome that it turned out to be like a happy story. No one died. They even, didn't even decommission the airplane. They're just like, heck, this thing's lucky. We can put half the fuel needed in it, and it can still land safely. I'm not going to say they were probably late for their, meetings and whatnot, unfortunately. What else do we have here? Bill Barilko disappeared that summer. Bill Barilko. It's another name I've never heard of. I'm just assuming it's going to be mostly people I've never heard of here. He was on a fishing trip. The last goal he ever scored won the Leafs Cup. Wow, okay. They didn't win another till 1962, the year he was discovered. I'm a little confused. The person who wrote this kind of wrote it like a poem or something, like a sonnet or what have you. So that's confusing me away. It's very dramatic writing, I have to admit. It's a Canadian ice hockey player. Greatest goal in Toronto Maple Leafs history? Maybe I can take a little peek at this. Let's take a little look.
Okay, goal. Let's talk about that. April 21st, 1951.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead of them talking.
Final tied it 2 in overtime. Howie Meeker, you're going to see a lot today. Works that puck in front. Barilko flies in.
Oh, there he goes.
Jerry McNeil in the Habs net.
Man, he did come flying in.
Jerry McNeil in the Habs.
Hold on. Come flying in one more time.
Today.
Block. Honestly, some amazing blocking. And then he just flies in and slams it in. That's pretty cool. So, he disappeared on a fishing trip. He disappeared on a fishing trip after scoring the game-winning shot to win the Leafs the Cup. Is that what it is? I think I'm understanding it now. And oh, wow. Oh, and they didn't win another till 1962, the year his body was discovered. I think I'm finally understanding this. And it's grim and kind of cool. At least the part where he made the game-winning shot, but not the part where he disappeared and died. So I've had this story gives you some real highs and some lows, like any good story. Disappeared on a fishing trip. God, what happened? What kind of fish did he run into? That's really cool. I hope I was watching the correct footage there of him scoring that shot. I don't know, but I think I get the story, and it is unbelievable. Kind of unbelievable in a bad way, though. What else do we have here? Rick Mercer asking George W. Bush, our past president, American president. George Mercer asking Bush about Prime Minister John Putin's endorsement. Is this a joke? John Putin. What is Rick Mercer asking George W. Bush about Prime Minister John Putin's endorsement? Let me look this up. Was he joking? I feel like John Putin is a fake name. Yeah, it's the first thing that comes up. 22 Minute Star pulls a prank on George W. Bush. Oh no, what did George Bush say? Prime Minister John Putin. Wait, what? George W. Bush endorsed by imaginary Canadian Prime Minister. I never heard about this. Hold on. Oh, wait, is there details on what exactly transpired here? This sounds funny. It is a prank. Oh, Rick Mercer showed U.S. President candidate George W. Bush doesn't know the name of Canada's Prime Minister. Oh no. In one of the show's regular segments, Talking to Americans, Mercer delights in asking Americans political questions to reveal how little they know about Canada. Sounds about right to me. He ambushed Bush at a campaign. He popped out. He approached the governor and said, Prime Minister John Putin, freaking John Putin. John Putin said he wouldn't endorse any candidate in the election. Now he says he believes George W. Bush is the man to lead the free world to the 21st century. Okay. And in true political glad-handling fashion, Engler replied, I certainly think he's got a very good judgment in making that statement about George W. Bush. Oh my gosh, so Engler gave kind of like this canned political answer, to be honest, just like, you could say that about anybody you don't know the name of, which is why he did it. It's like, oh, I think he has good judgment in the statement he made about George Bush. Like, you could insert that in any situation. But then Mercer moved on to George Bush and asked for a response to the comment about John Putin. Then Bush said, he understands I want to make sure our relationship with our most important neighbor to the north is strong, and we work closely together. You know what? To be fair, at least George Bush said something nice about Canada with his answer. It just is kind of ironic that in doing so, he didn't realize he was displaying his ignorance. I mean, there could be, maybe there's someone named John Putin out there. Maybe it'd be rude to just assume there can't be someone named John Putin in the Canadian government or something. Is that so crazy? Maybe the great-great-grandson of the inventor of poutine was running for prime minister? Who knows? The blunder delighted some of the most respected journalists in the United States. Oh my gosh, that is funny. That is funny. Okay. Well, we are very glad to be endorsed fully by John Putin, just to set the record straight. Very nice. Okay, what else do we have here? True Canadian stories that sound unbelievable. That one sounds believable. That's the only one so far that sounds perfectly believable. That George Bush and that other American politician completely unironically answered or responded to a quote, to a made-up endorsement from John Putin, the great John Putin. Okay, aside from the maple syrup heist, Toronto's crackhead mayor, Rob Ford. All right, that's not a controversial statement at all, right? I have no idea about Rob Ford. I have no idea about crackhead mayors. I don't know anything about that, so take that for what you will. That unbelievable story. Yes, that does sound unbelievable. I don't know if I'm gonna dive into what Google has to say about that one. Geesh, oh my goodness. Interesting though. What else do we have here? There is no news story about this, but I can confirm the following neighbor dispute. Okay, how long is this? Okay, this isn't verified by anything, so I'll never know if this is true or not. I guess I'll indulge it. One neighbor drove hundreds of kilometers away. He trapped multiple beavers. Okay. And released them upon their neighbor's property. Okay, some kind of interesting Canadian revenge scheme going on here. When the beavers began building dams, they altered the hydrology of the land parcel, starving acre after acre of precious water. By the time the victim found out, the beavers had established a habitat, and Parks Canada refused to move them. My God, what an evil genius. I hope this is true. It sounds unbelievable, truly. I wish there was something that could verify this, but I'm going to choose to believe there was a Canadian this petty, this obsessed with ruining his neighbor's property. Who knows what happened between them? That he kidnapped beavers, forced them to do his bidding, and eventually they established a permanent colony in his neighbor's property. Wow! That deserves some kind of journalist to go verify that or not. Truly. That's a good story, honestly. Good story. All right, and we have Kevin Vickers. The true Canadian story of Kevin Vickers. What is it? It's another Canadian I've never heard of. He's the Sergeant at Arms of the House of Commons who shot the terrorist in the Parliament buildings. There was a what? Terrorist in the Parliament buildings, and they were stopped by Kevin Vickers? They were shot? Jeez. What? When was this? He was appointed ambassador to Ireland in 2016 at an event marking the Easter Rising's anniversary. A protester ran on stage. Of course, Vickers stepped up and took him down before the Irish Guard could even react. What? Oh my God, if you are in trouble, if you need security, Kevin Vickers is your man. If you need protection, if your country or Easter Rising 100th anniversary celebration needs protection, Kevin Vickers. You've heard it here first. That's unbelievable. Like, is this verified? What? Not just that, the way he killed him was very action movie-ish. They were essentially on opposite sides of a stone pillar. He dove to the floor, shooting up and backwards at the suspect as he slid on the floor. This is literally John Wick. This is literally Canadian John Wick taking out people at the House of Commons. That's amazing. What on earth? These stories are great. Like, I knew was going to be entertaining. This discussion, these were like fantastic. Some of the most, I'll say it again, unbelievable, true Canadian stories I've ever heard. And I learned about a couple of Canadians that are honestly amazing. Amazing stories. So this was so fun, so fascinating, and yeah, unbelievable. Believe it. I do. I believe it. Even the one about the beavers taking over their neighbor's lawn. Even that one I'll believe. It's all very fun and educational, honestly. So this was great. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with what you think is a true Canadian story that sounds unbelievable. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.